It's Iron Bowl prediction day here on Locked On College Football. Alabama is up first. Auburn will be later. On today's show, Luke Robinson of Locked On Alabama is here to join me. So, Luke, we've been going through predicting records here at Locked On College Football and taking the overs. The official declarative, no takesy backsies unless there's like a major injury somewhere in fall camp. I wanted to pick Alabama at 11-1. I've landed on 10-2. Here's how I think it goes. They open at Florida State. I think that's a win. They're a significantly better football team. Florida State will be better, but when the bar is the floor, it's not that hard to jump over it. Louisiana, Monroe, yeah, of course. Okay. Wisconsin at home won't be a problem. I think they lose at Georgia. Right now, I've got them losing at South Carolina. I could get talked into Auburn in the Iron Bowl or a stumble on the road at Missouri, but I'm not real bullish on either Auburn or Missouri this year. So I'll take South Carolina, who I do like and have power rated 5th in my SEC rankings going into this year. I think 11-1 is more likely than 9-3, and I'm betting on Kalen DeBoer here. 10-2. What do you think?
I like that number. Also, first of all, just a correction quickly. It's Locked On Bama. I know
Locked On Bama.
People always say Locked On Alabama.
That's me. That's on me.
But it is Locked On Bama. Just letting you know.
That's me.
Secondly, I love what you're saying about 11-1 more likely than 9-3 because I feel the same way. I do feel like there are a lot of games in there where they could lose, but essentially, at Georgia, everybody's going to mark that down as a loss. And I probably would include, if you said, Luke, okay, you're 10-2, who are your two losses? I would probably have Georgia as one of them. That's the safest bet, right? But Alabama's beaten Georgia most of the times they played recently, going all the way back to 2008. Georgia's only won once. Now, they hadn't played every year, but they have played a lot of times. And unlike what Kirby Smart said at the SEC media, is like it'd be great to have them in Athens and have a home field advantage. Well, we play them mostly in Atlanta, and so you already have a home field advantage there. So, I think Georgia would probably be one of them if I were to venture to guess. And then I would probably lean more to Auburn than South Carolina myself, just because I grew up right next to Auburn. I know what it's like playing there, and it's different. It's so funny to me. I hear so many Auburn people, and I heard, I think it was Steve Sarkisian talking about, man, Auburn was a tough place to play. It always is for Alabama. It always is. Now, Vanderbilt's been able to go in there and win recently. Shoot, Georgia State should have won there recently.
Cal won there last year.
Cal won there. Penn State's won there. I mean, it's sort of the SEC mystique, right? That like we can talk about it being a hard place to play. But if you're just a national guy or a Big Ten guy or Pac-12, well, there's no more Pac-12, I guess.
There is. It's just not what it used to be.
It's hard to keep up. Or Big 12 guy. Then you look at Auburn's record at home recently, you go, it ain't that tough. And you would be right. But it is, especially for Alabama, it's different. It's just different. I can't explain it. It's just a thing. So I'm probably less bullish on South Carolina than most, just because I think they've got a difficult schedule. They've got 2 Power 5 teams on the non-con. They've got Alabama. Oklahoma's going to be a revenge game for Oklahoma. You would think they got to go to LSU. They've got a tough schedule, and I like Lenore Sellers a lot. I like a couple of guys in their defense a lot, but I want to see how South Carolina does when people expect them to be good. And it's hard to heavy is the crown. Not saying South Carolina has a crown. I'm just saying when it's easy to be the plucky underdog. But when people say, hey, South Carolina's my dark horse to make the playoffs, let's see how they handle that pressure.
I like that point a lot. I've talked about that with regards to Illinois, who, Joel Klatt had as the number 1 most likely team to make the playoff for the first time. Favorable schedule, experienced team that was good last year, beat South Carolina in their bowl game, of course, and I do think that it is different. And I also want to go back to the point you made about Jordan-Hare, because there's an ignorance is bliss component to Vanderbilt going in there, or Cal in particular. What is the logic of a team? There isn't any is the answer to my own question, but I'll spell it out anyway. What's the logic or the reasoning in 2023 Alabama with Nick Saban that was one overtime or one stop on a 4th and 2, they might win the national championship. That team needs a 4th and 31, and in that same stadium, a 6-6 Cal team went in there as a 12.5-point dog and won outright. That doesn't make a whole heck of a lot of sense. But you're right that for Alabama, that stadium is a house of horrors at times. I don't know if you believe in voodoo, but it certainly exists in that stadium when those two teams are playing. It just gets weird. So I picked South Carolina, but in the back of my mind thought, maybe it'll be Auburn. But let's talk about Ty Simpson, because at SEC Media Days, Kalen DeBoer said if the season started today, Ty Simpson would be the starter, but there will continue to be a battle really between him and Austin Mack based on his comments, because it looks like Keelan Russell is, raw, undeveloped, and learning and all that sort of stuff. That's to be expected. Is Ty Simpson a guy that you think can lead Alabama to an 11-1 campaign?
100%. People forget he was a 5-star himself. Ty Simpson, coach's son. I think he's got all the tools. I think last year, honestly, had Saban continued to be at Alabama, I think that there would have been a good shot. We may have seen Tua taking over for Jalen kind of situation, meaning this time it's Ty taking over for a different Jalen. I think we could have seen that potentially if some things had gone the way they did, especially in the Oklahoma game. I was calling for Jalen Milroe, who I love, to be pulled in that game. I was like, this isn't good for him. It's not good for anybody. We need to give Ty a shot here. And they never did. And I think if he had to do it over, meaning DeBoer, I think he probably would have. But having said all that, I have a lot of confidence in Ty Simpson. Now, I've been screaming Keelan Russell from the mountaintops ever since he committed, because I just love him. And I ran into a current player's father at the beach. I had no idea who he was. We just struck up a conversation, and he's the father of a tight end that's on the team now. And he sort of echoed all these things like, Ty Simpson's going to be the guy, and they love him. They think he's going to be good. They said, but Keelan Russell, man, he's just different. He's got it. It's an aura around him. Will it come to fruition this year? Will he be thrust into battle? I hope not, because that means Ty Simpson didn't get it done. But here's my hope, that Ty Simpson plays so well and leads Alabama deep into the playoffs. It's not all the way. And then he has a chance to go on and be a professional. And because he's already done his time in college. And so I hope that things work out that well for Ty Simpson. I'm not predicting it. I'm just saying I hope they do. And then Keelan Russell assumes command the next year. Everybody keeps saying I'm sleeping on Austin Mack. I'm not trying to, but I mean, only one person generally plays quarterback. So if you pick one guy, people think you're hating on the other one. And I'm not. I like Austin Mack. He's got a lot of great tools. But in the end, I am a Ty Simpson believer. I feel I have probably an unjust, an unwarranted belief in him. But at the same time, it is rooted in some stuff that I've heard about practice and some things that have been said by some of the players and by some of the players' kinfolk. So I don't feel like I'm going in there just completely with crimson-colored glasses.
Do you have a record prediction for Alabama this year?
I think 10-2 is as good as any, and I'm not going to give my prediction just yet. Okay, but if you're saying, okay, right here on July 16th, I think 10-2 is fine. And you know what? In this playoff era where we have got 12 teams, give me 10-2 every year. 5 years ago, if you had said 10-2, I'd go in my bedroom and shut the door and cry because that I knew that would mean we're not in the playoffs. It's not acceptable. And
but 10-2 is in.
10-2. If you're in the SEC and you're 10-2, 100% of the time you're going to get in.
Yeah, I don't know what world we'd have to live in where that doesn't happen. Even if some people want to see it go there, that I don't think we're very close to that. But we're always
especially
close.
With Alabama's schedule. When you play when you play an ACC team and a Big Ten team, and you play one on the road and one at home, you're going to get a lot of love for that. But if you don't, by the way, I know y'all just had Locked On Big Ten. I know and I won't keep you too long. It's not lost on me that Indiana dropped a series with Virginia. It wasn't
don't like that.
And I'm going to tell you something. That the committee needs to take note of that. And if Indiana has another one of these 11-1s, and they go, well, we got to be in just because we played a 3A schedule. I don't know that they get in with that. I just don't like it.
Here's what I'd say: 11-1 in a Power 4 conference, I think should be rewarded with a playoff no matter what, because as long as you're in a 9-game conference slate, some SEC teams a little bit different. Auburn's schedule this year, we're going to talk about Auburn next year on the show today, but like Auburn's schedule, for instance, you've got Baylor, but then you have 3 cupcake games in there. It's like, okay, so you have 9 Power 4 teams on the schedule. That's the same number as Indiana will have with a joke schedule. And
but
it's a longer conversation. But by the way,
Indiana
I think
avoided Ohio State last year. Didn't they avoid Penn State?
No, they played Ohio State. That was the only team.
Ohio State, and
that was their only loss.
That's right.
They missed Oregon and Penn State last year.
Penn State. That's
but they have Oregon this year, and I can't remember off the top of my head if they have Penn State. But like 11-1 in a Power 4, I'm hard pressed to say that doesn't deserve to get in, because there are a lot of quality wins on there. But what I would like to see is for Indiana to get truly punished for that. If they go 10-2 and they have 2 Big Ten losses and then they go unbeaten in this weak non-conference slate, which I think is a joke, terrible, bad for the sport. Schools should not be able to control their schedules like this. It's completely ridiculous. I've railed against it for years. I'm going to keep doing it until something changes. If they were to go 10-2, then I think you'd have a more legitimate conversation. Yeah, I don't think they should be in the playoff. Like, sorry, you played Kennesaw State, Indiana State, and Old Dominion. I'm not going to give you the same level of respect when you have that compared to like what Alabama's doing. I'm not railing against Bama's schedule here. Why? Because they've got Wisconsin and Florida State on there. Like, okay, once you get to 10 Power 4 games, I'm good. You do whatever you want with the other 2 games. Like, if you get to 10 Power 4 opponents, I'm not going to dog on you.
And here's the other thing. Next year, Alabama's schedule is Florida State at home at West Virginia. And then I believe it's West Virginia at home at Ohio State, and then Ohio State at home at Notre Dame. Now,
everybody should do it that
way. You and I love this. But if the committee does what they did last year, and it's easy in hindsight now to say they screwed up because SMU and Indiana sort of wet the bed.
Yeah, I don't think they screwed up, and that's okay.